I, 26, female, have been together with my husband since I was 15. My husband, 28, male, is my first love, and we got married 4 months ago after a decade of relationship. The reason for such a long dating life was not financial reasons, which is usually the norm. No, when it comes to our relationship, the reason my husband and I took such a long time to get married was that my husband did not want to get married. He never explicitly told me that he did not want to get married or anything, but his actions spoke louder than words. Whenever we attended our high school friends' weddings, my husband made it a point to express very loudly and explicitly how he thought that marriage was the end of freedom. And there are so many cons of a wedding that once married, every guy has to face. It was strange how he did not mind us doing everything that a married couple does, but he was opposed to us being official. At first, I used to think that the reason behind such behavior was his commitment issues. But you know what they say? If he wanted to, he would have. Yeah. My best friends kept telling me that if my husband wanted to be my husband, he would have proposed to me already. These thoughts started burdening me, making it very difficult for me to cope with things when around him. I tried explaining how I felt like the relationship was not providing me with the security that I was seeking, and my husband simply dismissed me. In his eyes, I just wanted a lavish wedding because everyone around us was having a wedding. I wanted a lavish wedding because I wanted our union to be celebrated in a way that is memorable for us. You get me, right? Well, my husband did not. Then I found out that he had been cheating on me. We were celebrating our 10th anniversary when I got a message on Instagram from a girl I had seen on my husband's account. She told me that she could not keep it in her anymore and she wanted to be honest with me. My husband had been cheating on me with her and 3 other girls, and I deserve better. I was upset to hear that. I had not realized that my husband was out and about doing things like that. The girl sent me screenshots of his account on Tinder and of their direct messages. The messages were surely sent by him, and they were very explicit. When I told my best friends about this, they all told me that I should sure break up with him, because any girl who has self-respect would not stay with a guy like him. Hearing them say that about him really made me realize how much he had been using me. He had used me to make himself feel emotionally secure while cheating on me to find physical gratification elsewhere. I broke it off. But breaking up with him took a bad toll on me. I wanted him back. Yes, he cheated on me, but he is the love of my life, and maybe we could communicate and talk it out. I know I should have had those thoughts before breaking up with him, but at that moment, I was way too emotional to think properly. So 3 weeks later, there I was, feeling broken and stupid. So when he approached me again, you can imagine how quickly I took him back. But I wanted to make sure this did not happen again. So I hauled him to couples therapy, and while we sat in front of the therapist, we talked about our issues. Well, I did most of the talking, and he listened to how I felt because, in his words, we did not have any issues per se. I cannot say that I agreed with him, but my therapist suggested I give him time to open up about his issues, and when he did, it was very simple. He felt like our romance had died. All the things we were doing were out of obligation and not out of love. This is why he thought it would be better if he went out and tried to see if I was the problem, or if the relationship was the problem, or if he was incapable of loving me or something. When he slept with a girl for the first time outside our relationship, he realized that sexual relationships outside the relationship cleared his head. It was like caffeine that charged him and made it easier for him to be passionate about me and our relationship. Plus, after he slept with the girl, his mood improved, and that helped our relationship. So that is why he kept doing what he was doing. He started around our 7th anniversary, and this has been going on for 3 years. But when I found out and I broke up with him, he realized that none of those other girls meant anything to him because at the end of the day, I am all he cares about, and I am the one he wants to be with. Hearing him say those things certainly opened my eyes to a lot of aspects of our relationship. My therapist asked me if I was willing to move past it or forgive him, and I could not say anything. Soon after that day, my husband proposed to me, and I said yes. While I said yes, all that went on in my head was how could the love of my life do something like this to me? My husband kept insisting that he did it to save our relationship, but I never quite felt like that was the truth. I went through with the marriage, yes. I probably should not have, and now when I look back, I feel like I definitely should not have. But at that moment, I was happy that the love of my life wanted to be married to me. We got married and it was lavish, all right. Our married life was all right for the first month, but when the second month clocked in, my husband was upset. He said his life was boring. He wanted to have an adventure with me. While I understood his desire, I had really gotten a good opportunity at work. When I explained that I cannot give up everything and just go out with him, he told me that I should know when to sacrifice for the sake of the relationship. He sacrificed his monogamous nature for the sake of our relationship. I can take a 3-month holiday from my job and go on this Europe tour with him. I refused at first, but he kept guilting me into it, saying how I made our relationship mature and that he had to go out there and do things he could not imagine. That I made him a cheater, so it would just be fair if I went out with him. I spoke with my office begrudgingly, and they told me that the maximum leave I can cash in is a month, and after that, they will sack me. I did not tell my husband and put my life on hold to go out with him. But my whole world came crashing down when we reached the first destination. We started in France, and when we were at the airport, I saw someone had come to pick us up. She looked very familiar, and my husband was incredibly friendly with her. When I had the time to do some snooping around, turns out she is one of the girls that my husband was cheating on me that the other girl told me about on our 10th anniversary. I watched them like a hawk, and I saw the chemistry, the attraction, the love for filthy treatment towards me that my husband had, and I decided that this is it. I accepted that my marriage is dead, and when my husband was out with her, I decided to make my way to the airport and catch a return flight. I thought about everything while on the flight, and I thought perhaps talking about this would be better, so thank you for reading about my revelations. I appreciate it. Update 1. Hey everyone, I know that I was stupid. I guess spending a decade with someone makes you feel like there is no one outside of them. I know I was stupid, and I am glad that I figured things out, albeit now instead of later. For everyone who's wondering if my husband knows that I have left our Airbnb, he does not. I did not leave a message or anything. I was laying in bed trying to cope with everything when I heard my husband tell someone, assuming her, on call that she is sleeping, meet me out front, and left. After I knew he had left, I packed my things, booked the flight, and went to the airport. After I had written this out, I called one of my best friends who's a lawyer to prepare the separation papers for me. She, being the friend that she is, said, "I told you so," which I deserved. I have not replied to anything from my husband, and I have been trying to recover from the whirlpool of emotions I've been feeling. Update 2. Hey everyone, jet lag had me stuck to my bed, so that is why this much awaited update is late. Now, onto the update that you guys have been wondering about. By the time I reached the States, my phone was blowing up with messages from my husband. From the time zones, it was clear he spent the whole night with her, and when he came home and found the house empty, he started calling me. He told me that I'm being petty and that if I think that he will come home because I did something so petty, I'm wrong. He will return after he has enjoyed himself to the fullest. I did not bother replying to his messages or calls. I went over to my in-laws and told them everything about our marriage and his chronic cheating. As I have essentially grown up with them, his parents have a soft corner for me, and they were incredibly sorry about everything. Father-in-law offered to take his stuff from the apartment we were sharing so that I could move out as well, as our lease was ending in a month. I appreciated his help, and in 2 days, the apartment had none of his shit. I went back to work and told them that the travel was cut short because of important family stuff, and I was not questioned further. I am considering ghosting him completely. Should I do that? What do you guys think? Update 3. I ghosted him completely. I got a new number, I got a new apartment, and moved 2 states away after asking to be shifted to the branch in that state. Overall, I disappeared. He kept trying to contact me, and my lawyer bestie made sure he knew that the only person he would be speaking with was her and not me. I was completely poof. I heard from my bestie that at first he did not want to sign the papers because he knew I would get over it and come back to him eventually, but apparently both father-in-law and mother-in-law told him to stop and sign the documents because he has made me suffer enough. I suppose realizing that his parents know about his nasty behavior gave him enough incentive to sign the documents. He signed the papers finally, and they were filed. I am officially separated from the guy as of 3 days now. Honestly, I do miss the presence of a partner, but at the same time, I cannot say that I miss being cheated on. So I guess this is the right time to indulge in some self-loving. Thank you so much for being here and helping me out the way you guys have. I appreciate that a lot. Oh, wow. Okay, that is a lot. OP, you poor girl. I wish I could hug you. As a mother of a daughter, I cannot imagine my daughter going through what you went through. Seriously, OP, you deserve better. I can understand that when you have been with someone for a long time, it can be a bit hard to imagine your life without that person. But it is not fair to you that he is treating you the way he is. His logic is completely obtuse. He is an abhorrent person, and you deserve so much better. Men like this disgust me. OP, get out of the marriage ASAP. File them papers with your bestie. Honestly, run away as soon as possible. Your husband is a terrible person. He is a manipulator, a narcissist. You deserve a healthy married life, and he is not the one at all. The marriage is over. Next story. Right before I was about to leave for my mother-in-law and father-in-law's house, I got a phone call from my husband. Husband was extremely upset and asked me if I had left for his parents yet. I said no, and he told me he needed to make me aware of a situation. A few hours before, his father called him and shared with him screenshots of a dating app profile containing my name and photos. Before I could say anything, my husband reassured me he knew it was fake. A few things that tipped him off. Screenshots from the profile said, "less than a mile away," when referring to the distance of the user. It was my sister-in-law who found the account. My straight, female, and married sister-in-law just randomly decided to go on Bumble and somehow fell upon my profile even though we live over 100 miles apart. When I got to my mother-in-law and father-in-law's house, father-in-law rushed out to talk to me. He told me I had every right to be upset, but asked me to be the bigger person and not cause any more unnecessary drama. When I got to sister-in-law, initially she denied everything, but after about 2 minutes she couldn't keep her story straight. Instead of apologizing, she just started bawling her eyes out. She blamed the whole thing on pregnancy hormones and tried to play it off as a joke. My mother-in-law and father-in-law both pulled me outside to try and get me to calm down. I asked them why they were taking her side. They told me there were no sides and they were just trying to keep the peace. After they said that, I lost it and told them keeping the peace isn't just an excuse used by enablers. I told them that they had a very important decision to make. If they choose to stand by sister-in-law, they will lose me as a consequence. They told me they were afraid to lose their grandchild, and I responded with, "You're going to lose a set of grandchildren either way. It's either going to be the ones in front of you now or the future grandchildren me and husband will have." My husband and I are on the same page, and we have both agreed to cut contact with his family unless some kind of just consequence for sister-in-law happens. Edit. Background info. Husband is currently 12 months into an 18-month deployment for the military. Edit 2. I feel like I need to clarify the family relations. I am not biologically related to anyone in this post. I am married to my husband, who is biologically related to his brother. Brother-in-law is married to sister-in-law. Father-in-law and mother-in-law have 2 biological sons and 2 daughter-in-law. myself, and sister-in-law. Update. I would first like to say thank you to everyone who commented and sent me information and tools on how to deal with this situation. I have read all comments multiple times, and although I didn't get back to everyone, I tried to take all the information as best I could. My husband and I talked about everything that happened between me and his family. After a lot of back and forths, we couldn't agree on how to handle the situation, so we decided to do couples therapy. After therapy, we have both decided to completely cut all communication and ties with his brother and sister-in-law. As for his parents, the plan is for me to no longer go and see them or for me to make any active attempt to communicate or be a part of their lives. If his parents do not attempt to reach out to me for the remainder of my husband's deployment, 5 months, then we have decided to go no contact with his parents and cut them off completely. The biggest question I saw in the comments is, why does my sister-in-law hate me so much? Here is some more information. Sister-in-law became pregnant after 2 weeks of dating brother-in-law. Sister-in-law and brother-in-law remained unemployed throughout sister-in-law's entire pregnancy and lived 100% off of the means of my in-laws. My husband and I are homeowners, and both of us are very successful in our independent careers. Sister-in-law has always struggled with what she wants to do with her life. She doesn't like taking care of her baby, but doesn't want to work. She goes back and forth on these grandiose ideas for a career. About a year and a half ago, my sister-in-law started talking about becoming a realtor, but they couldn't afford the fees and classes required to do so. I had always toyed with the idea of getting my realtor's license, so I told my sister-in-law I would happily pay for her classes, fees, etc., and she and I could go through the courses together. After a month, my sister-in-law bailed on the idea of becoming a realtor, but I finished and got my license. I am unable to physically have children. I found this out a few years ago, and emotionally I have never recovered. Ever since I found out, I refuse to hold or play with any baby. Older kids are easier, but emotionally I'm not mature enough to interact with a baby yet. I have never held my sister-in-law's baby, and although I have had conversations with her directly as to my reasons as well as my in-laws, they take it very personally. I have this issue with all babies, even my sister's and best friend's baby. I'm currently in counseling. My husband and I have decided that we're going to start looking for a house in my home state, so that way I can be closer to my old friends and family. No matter which way things go with his parents, we both believe some distance is a good idea. P.S. I have not given up on my cake decorating hobby, and since then I have made almost a dozen more cakes for friends and neighbors. Thank you to everyone who gave me the confidence for moving forward and not giving up. NTA. Pregnancy doesn't take over your mind. Makes you download and create a fake dating profile and frame your sister-in-law. That took sustained effort, culminating in it being shown to your husband. She tried to ruin your marriage. How are your in-laws defending this? As your husband wasn't there, if location services weren't on, how would you have proven your innocence? She lied when cornered and tried to use emotional manipulation to excuse it. NTA. Pregnancy can cause hormones to go wild, make you crave weird foods, cry at commercials, pee constantly, have insomnia, etc. It does not cause you to post pics of your husband's brother's wife on a dating app. Even with an apology, I'd be avoiding her and anyone who defends her. NTA, and clearly your sister-in-law is. Older generations may not know how social media dating apps work, so it's understandable that your father-in-law believed it. Major kudos to your hubby for nipping it in the bud ASAP. Not sure what consequences will make it just, but cutting out your in-laws isn't fair to them. I would go no contact with your sister-in-law and brother-in-law and have your hubby handle that relationship when he's back. Just make it clear with your in-laws yours relationship will only happen with the sister-in-law and brother-in-law not in it until further notice, or possibly never, and they are going to have to accept that. She tried to blow up your entire world. That has massive consequences. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.